Welcome to Football Game Plan's FCS Kickoff, presented by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Mike McCarthy is the producer behind the boards as we bring you our preview of the 2018 Patriot League. Let's take a look at some of the key storylines heading into the season as we go into our 4-minute offense. The Fordham Rams bringing a new head coach in Joe Conlon, who previously was the offensive coordinator at Yale. Now, Conlon's offenses were one of the more well-balanced attacks in the FCS and did a great job of developing young talents while helping them reach their full potential on that side of the ball. Having spoken with Conlon this past spring, he has a terrific plan in place to build a bully in the Bronx and should help continue to push this program forward. Another new coaching hire in the Patriot League is Bob Chesney at Holy Cross. Now, he built Assumption College into a power in Division II and is known for his aggressive attack style on both sides of the ball. I took a trip up to Holy Cross to meet with Coach Chesney this past spring as well, and I have to tell you, there's certain energy in the athletic complex that leads you to believe that, number one, change was probably needed, and number two, Chesney is going to inject some life in what could be considered a sleeping giant program in college football. Now, what a difference a year makes. The Lafayette Leopards experienced a bit of success last season as then new head coach John Garrett had his squad competing hard each and every week and was in the thick of the Patriot League race for a good part of the season. The Leopards were playing a lot of freshmen, including starting quarterback Sean O'Malley, and what you saw was a team that built confidence and learned how to win as the season went on. Defensively, they were one of the better teams in the Patriot League, and all of this was due to a change in philosophy and mindset, and it will be interesting to see what they can do to build on what they did last year as a very young team in 2017. The Colgate Raiders, in my opinion, were snubbed last year by the FCS Playoff Committee after posting a 7-4 record, 5-1 in league play. The one game that kept them out of the playoffs was that loss to Lehigh. Now, while they did earn a share of the Patriot League title last year, they missed the playoffs. However, it wasn't because of a result of a strength of schedule issue. Last year, the Raiders opened up with a win over 23rd ranked Cal Poly and a 3-point loss to number 9 Richmond. This year's schedule looks to be even tougher as they face New Hampshire and Durham, a rematch on the road at Furman, William & Mary on the road before closing out the season with 3 straight road games against Fordham, Lehigh, and Army. Colgate's going to earn everything they get this year and will leave nothing in doubt this time around come playoff selection time. As we get ready to kick off the start of summer workouts and fall camp, we will give you a look around the conference at some of the conference's best, and we'll start by unveiling our all-conference team, beginning with the offensive side of the ball. Taking a look at our preseason All-Patriot League offense in the backfield is super impressive, led by quarterback Brad Mays, who should continue to put together some big-time numbers this year for the Mountain Hawks. James Holland Jr. of Colgate is a tremendous tailback that's part of an amazing tandem with Alex Matthews, but Don Bragalone of Lehigh is a one-man wrecking crew. The 5'11", 230-pound runner has gone over 1,000 yards each of his 3 seasons as a starter. He also brings both burst and balance to the table and is looking to crack that 1,500-yard mark as a senior. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, and Georgetown's Christian Tate is a special player. Not only is he one of the better defensive linemen in the conference that just fills up the stat sheet, but he's also an outstanding special teamer with multiple block punts and field goals as well. Bucknell linebacker Simeon Page was excellent last year for the Bison, finishing the season with 46 tackles, 9 sacks, 6 quarterback hurries, and a team-leading 13 TFLs. He's also very good in coverage as well, with a total of 8 pass breakups. Rounding out our preseason All-Patriot League team with the specialist and Bucknell punter Alex Petchin is a legit defensive weapon. Last year, he averaged 45.1 yards a punt, forcing 22 fair catches. 26 of his 72 punts were of the 50 yards plus variety and was able to down an impressive 34 inside the 20-yard line. Now let's take a team-by-team look around the Patriot League, and we'll start with the Colgate Raiders. Like I mentioned in the open, the Raiders barely missed the playoffs last year and coming to the 2018 season looking to right some wrongs. The good part is that Colgate is very strong along both sides of the line of scrimmage. They have experience and depth in the backfield, including sensational quarterback Grant Brenneman, and defensively, the back seven looks to be much improved over last year. Their biggest hurdle will be to continue to bring that same intensity each and every week to avoid a slip-up, and when you look at that schedule, they almost have to, as every week looks like a playoff matchup for the Raiders. I think a lot of people will look at Holy Cross and say they have a huge hole to fill at quarterback with the graduation of Peter Pujols, but many forget Jeff Wade has played a lot of meaningful snaps in his career and has some talent. He also has a very good receiving core returning that'll make the transition a lot easier. I'm interested to see if the Crusaders can develop a running game this year, as they'll need to be a well-balanced bunch to contend for the title. Defensively, I think they should be stout, especially within the front seven. I look at Chesney's experience on the defensive side of the ball, and with some of the pieces on offense that they have, the Crusaders will surprise some people this year in the Patriot League. The Lehigh Mountain Hawks have two premier players on offense in quarterback Brad Mays and running back Don Bragalone, but have slight questions everywhere else offensively, especially along the offensive line. That's where I have a slight concern about this year's edition of the Mountain Hawks. Defensively, there is nowhere to go but up for those guys, as they're getting some players back from injury. And what I do like about Lehigh is how they're capable of playing any type of game offensively needed to win. If their defense can make significant strides this year, they can make a return trip to the playoffs. Fordham's defense, I believe, will surprise some people this year, especially in the secondary. They can match up well with any team in the conference. On the offense side of the ball, there's a wait-and-see approach, as they'll look a little different without Chase Edmonds back there in the backfield. But all is not lost, as one, we know Coach Collin will instill an offensive mindset that'll be conducive to playing a winning brand of football. And two, Fordham has recruited really well over the last 4 to 5 seasons, so the cupboard isn't necessarily bare. We'll learn a lot about this talent on September 1st as they open up on the road against Charlotte, which could make our upset specialist come week 1. I feel as though what we saw last year from the Lafayette Lepers was a sign of things to come. Defensively, they were outstanding. Offensively, they struggled to put points up on the board. Now, reasonable thinking would tell you that if they can get marginally better offensively with the defense they have returning, they could push for a conference title. Now, that may be at least a year away, but with the way those freshmen played last year on that side of the ball, you can definitely expect to see progress from them this year. How much progress, especially early on, could determine if a Leopard can actually change its spots. For the first time in a long time, you can have some questions about the Bucknell Bison defense heading into the season, albeit slight questions. Yes, they've lost some big-time playmakers, but when you're that well known for a position or a unit or an entire side of the ball, you're normally well stocked to overcome any losses. For Bucknell to make serious moves in the FCS, they have to get their offense to play consistently better throughout the course of a season. The hope is that they can have a strong ground game with Chad Freshnock to lean on, as he's a talented player, which will make things easier for quarterback John Alonzo in that passing game. Any offensive improvements from an efficiency standpoint will make Bucknell a very dangerous team. The Georgetown Hoyas have one of the better defensive and special teams units in the Patriot League. It's what keeps them in and sometimes wins them ball games. We talked about Bucknell's offense needing to improve to make them a threat. The same can be said about the Hoyas. Head coach Rob Scarlatta made some changes to that side of the ball by bringing in new offensive coordinator Rob Spence, who comes over from the Morgan State Bears. His ability to use the passing game to help set up the running game could help transform this team into a well-balanced squad. Like I've always said, despite their challenges, this is not a bad football team or a program, and Coach Scarlatta has done a fantastic job with Georgetown. So that's a wrap from Football Game Plan's FCS Kickoff. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts, and don't forget to check out and subscribe to the FCS Opening Drive podcast on iTunes and also on SoundCloud, where Dave Hashagen and myself dive deeper into the world of the FCS. And don't forget to subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network on YouTube, where you can find all of our FCS video content at youtube.com/footballgameplan.